And hello, everyone, and welcome back. The hiatus is over. We're back at you.
Back at it again.
Oh, see, I bet everybody thought we were done.
Yeah, they probably thought, oh, hey, here's these fucking jokers. Came out with 3 episodes of a podcast talking a lot of game. They're just done. There's nothing. Well, they were wrong. Fuck the haters. They were wrong.
They were very wrong. And, we're happy to be back. I think we took some much-needed time off that we will address over the course of this episode. I think it's
going to be a little bit of a shorter one today, guys. We kind of just want to get a little bit caught up on what's been happening with us and with the show in its infancy. And we just want to kind of have a brief little return session so that we can readjust and reorient so that going forward, you guys will be back in the groove.
Yeah. And speaking of being back, we are in a different recording space now, so audio quality may differ. I don't think it will. Should be good to go.
But if you notice any differences, it's not because your equipment broke. We just had to move our equipment.
Yeah, so different space. If at any point in time you do hear noises, it's probably on our end. So we will do our best to kind of keep everything a-going and a-flowing. But,
and showing. And
yeah,
growing.
Just keep rhyming. Just keep dropping those funky beats.
Bars.
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how humorous we are this episode. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Yeah, we there may be some. I think we'll be staying lighthearted today, but we wanted to talk a little bit about just kind of where we've been at.
Yeah,
because I don't know, it just seems like in this atmosphere that the average American or listener anywhere lives in right now, there's so much discussion going on right now about emotional openness, self-care, that kind of thing. And we've been kind of dealing with the ramifications of that a little bit lately in our personal lives. So one of the main, I can kind of get my story out a little bit quicker.
Yeah, go for it, man. I mean, just open it up. So yeah, theme today is some emotional openness and just being
self-care, man.
Self-care and just
take care of your damn self. You're all you got.
This is kind of like a PSA episode more than anything. And then next week we'll get back into we'll do some. It's October at this point.
Yeah,
so
we got to get some spooks on.
We're
dude.
gonna get some spooky shit. And we're gonna get some stuff figured out. It's gonna be great. We're really excited.
So in the past few weeks since our last episode, I got a new job. I'm working with St. Margaret's Medicinals out of Colorado. They're a CBD company. THC free, no cannabis. So if you're conscientious about THC, but you're interested in the medical effects of CBD, which are not anecdotal, they are observable. They have been studied. This is not, voodoo. Recommend you check them out because I really believe in what they're doing. So that's been taking up a lot of my time lately. I've also been going through a lot of personal introspection lately, the kind that I normally really don't do, because when you're the average guy in America, there's always this pressure on you not to be open and to, just kind of be a bit of a rock. And while that's definitely a part of what you need to be, you also need to be taking care of yourself and feeling your feelings so that you don't repress them and have them obliterate you from the inside out. That kind of openness is a different way of being a rock and a different way of enduring. So I think we kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit today. Mm-hmm. What about you, Sir Nicholas?
Well, it has been an interesting past couple of weeks for me. I kind of went through some emotional kind of turmoil in the past couple of weeks. It was hard, and I won't get too much into it because we do have people who listen to this podcast that we know personally, so we won't be getting into too many specific details. Yeah, and I'm sure I'll touch on it a little bit, but it was definitely, and I think it's out of respect too, for even as upsetting as the event that occurred was, I want to be respectful of the individuals involved and what happened.
Got to remember the people, man.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want, what happened is not public knowledge, so
yeah.
I'll keep it to myself. If you're curious and you really want to reach out and talk to me about it, we can, and this goes out to anybody that's listening, you can reach out to me any way you want. Maybe we'll have a conversation about it. I may not talk to you about it. I don't know. So it's all going to depend. But yeah, it's been a lot of self-introspection, talking about just learning to get to know myself again, which I think has been hugely important. And learning to grow from an emotional standpoint as to what it is that I need in my life and how I need to go about behaving in my life. And it has unlocked a lot of things, and I got to see an entirely different side of myself that I had never seen before. And I think that was very helpful. And pardon the noise. If you hear the noise, that is my cat. He will be featured in the episode today at any point in time.
Guest feature from Apollo.
Apollo, my cat. You can follow him on Instagram.
Apollo the Maine Coon. Don't you dare start one of those trendy fake ass pet Instagrams. I will disown you.
No.
We'll cancel the show for real.
You're like, I ain't doing this shit. How dare you, sir? No.
How dare you indeed.
So, yeah, but it has been good just moving through the motions, and I've kind of had a pretty good emotional kind of rejuvenation in terms of how I feel about myself and the
It's a sense of healing.
Yeah. That even from the darkness that I kind of experienced, I have managed to find a lot of really good things, and there are some really amazing things in my life right now, and I'm super excited to embrace them and see what the future holds.
New opportunities, new people, new episodes.
New episodes.
every weekend.
Spicy drop.
Yeah, dude. Shameless self-plug. But yeah, man. Like, God, did you...
You keep talking.
Okay.
I'll take care of it.
Okay. Yeah, we're just sorry that this is going to be a little bit of a rough cut, guys. We just I don't know. We didn't want to really put on a show today in terms of just being, super performance, because we feel like, these shows are also valuable for like, person-to-person communication beyond just what's hype or what's popular or what's funny. And we're not trying to be psychiatrists or great philosophers or tell people how to live their lives or claim like we have some grand unspoken truth. We just want to encourage. We just want to be a part of the movement right now that encourages more openness and more, honest self-reflection, not just mental activity, but real thinking and change. And so we just feel like that by speaking openly, not necessarily to complain, but to lead by example by being willing to communicate with each other about these things, we feel like we can be just as positive as if we're making you laugh.
And I think that's an important thing to note, too, is that at the end of the day, a lot of this boils down to communication.
Communication is the greatest obstacle you will ever face, whether with yourself or with other people.
Yes. And at the end of the day, it's a matter of you need to be able to have these kinds of open conversations, not only with yourself, but with the people in your life if you can. Because for a lot of people, it's hard to express your own emotions and the way you feel.
And the thing is, like, it's gotten a lot better for a lot of people, especially men, who can be more open about their feelings now. It's just that there's still so much stigma that does exist, that people think that because this movement and this level of positive discussion is happening, that the problem's solved, and that, we can all just be open now. But no. You have to keep pressing the point, and you have to keep reminding yourself about this new positive and open habit of yours, or else you will forget about it because you're human. You gotta keep the neural pathway for that type of behavior fresh.
Absolutely. And if I sound hoarse at any point during this episode, my apologies. I'm coming off of a sickness, so...
You too, huh?
Yeah, it's going around.
Yeah, I feel like this is just always the worst time of year for this area, you know? And we're here in Colorado, as a lot of you know, and...
got our first snow last week.
Yeah, we did.
Already.
And we're right in the foothills area, and if any of y'all know, man... Mountain climates are crazy in the winter. It'll be 60 degrees one day, and the next it'll be like -2.
Yes.
And it's pretty whack right now. Because
Like,
right now it's bright and sunny and 30 fucking degrees. And
yeah, it's supposed to get up to like 60 degrees today, and then tomorrow it's supposed to get down into just like 30 and snow, 5 inches.
dude,
It's gonna be.
I'm down. I drive a goddamn 4Runner. I can handle that.
I drive a Jeep, and I'm also ready for it. But
Dude, what? I mean, it's still fall. I want it to be fall
I do
before
too.
anything else, but what's good's winter without snow, man?
that's true.
Because then you just have to look at everything being all dead and depressing.
And you're like, I'm just dead and depressed.
Without all that, I'm just dead inside.
Everything is cold.
That's one thing I've been getting into lately. I've been trying to steer away from the self-deprecating humor, you know? I feel like it's honestly getting to the point right now where our generation, this ties into the emotional openness. Right now, Our generation is so afraid of real emotion, to the point that when I was in college, I regularly heard people talk about the phrase catching feelings, as if feeling for somebody was a goddamn disease. And like, I feel like so many people, myself included, I do this all the time. You hide how you really feel behind, irony and self-effacement and unsincere behavior. Mm-hmm. And you do it for fun or to communicate, but eventually the irony becomes the new normal. I mean, look at what's happened to cinema. Do you see genuine sincerity well received anywhere anymore?
No, it's hard.
People look for irony and self-effacement because they believe that they and the life they live is pointless. Mm-hmm. And, they just want to laugh at it all. It's just another kind of nihilism. And I feel like it's, instead of being able to laugh at yourself and being in tune with what you are and just enjoying the comedy that is life, you start to make the joke darker. And it stops being self-comedy and self-awareness, to move forward and to keep yourself happy. And it just becomes rampant self-criticism. And the thing is, because you've been doing it from irony, you have no fucking idea if it's even real.
No.
You have no idea if you're just feeling this genuinely or just putting on an act. You got to watch what you put in your brain in terms of habits and mental. What did you call it when we were talking vocally about like mental tics?
Yeah,
the tics in your thinking that you just come back to habitually over and over. Be aware of those.
Yeah, the self-deprecating humor is something that I'm super, super guilty of doing.
Oh, I talk about it, dude. No one's more critical of alcoholics than a former or current alcoholic.
Right. And you just like, it becomes an easy way for you to make a joke, to make light of a situation that maybe, at least this is it for me, I'll make a joke about something that maybe I'm not comfortable with about myself. But if I come at it from a joking manner, I'm less inclined to feel bad about it, about myself. I'm trying
it's like you're preempting the insult that someone gives you that you may not have ever even gotten.
Yeah, and it's just your way of kind of combating the fact that, hey, this is like maybe a character flaw or a personal flaw that, and it might not even be a flaw, but something that you personally view as something, quote, I'm putting air quotes up, wrong with you. And then when you do that, it eventually over time, at least for me, I've started to notice that it snuck in more and more and more, and it just kind of consumes. Like
suddenly you've got a new roommate, huh?
Yeah, and you're just like, you're coming at it from a place where that it's no longer about the humor or kind of accepting what it is that you were kind of trying to make lighthearted. It's just your way of approaching or feeling bad about something without just openly saying, like, oh, what a fat fuck I am, but like, but deep down you're like, maybe I'm struggling with my appearance issues, or I have an issue.
And neither you nor I are exactly fat. We're just larger.
We're built gentlemen, Mr. Gibbons.
Yeah, so. We are. We need to get back in the gym, dude. Random non sequitur. That shit was fun.
Yeah, no, I've doing a lot of yoga. I've done a couple of hot yoga sessions the past couple of weeks.
Bikram yoga is fucking crazy,
dude. I have never sweat so much in my life.
Well, yeah, because you're in a 110-degree room doing incredibly strenuous stretching. Like,
it's been awesome though. So
I'll bet, man.
I'll take you to a hot yoga class sometime.
I mean, I will bitch and moan the entire time because I love extreme cold. Yeah. Extreme heat fucks with my body because I run so hot. I have a very high natural resting body temperature.
But you just feel so good after. It's so.
I'll bet you do. Ooh. It's the same way you probably feel good after throwing up. Your body like doesn't want to do it necessarily, but it knows it probably should. Like,
yeah. And just speaking of self-care and stuff like that, I've been using this time and a lot of the feelings that I've had to try to get back more into the gym, because I have most definitely, I'll be the first to admit, let myself slip. But
I have, absolutely.
By no excuse that I can put forward. It's just it's a laziness thing, and I can talk about, I'm busy with work or I'm busy with life. And
see, but that's very good, because you're not doing the thing that so many people are guilty of. Mm-hmm. You're not kidding yourself.
No, and you shouldn't. Don't
fucking kid yourself, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Don't conflate reason with excuse. Don't conflate, I know why this thing has happened, with I know why this thing has happened, and that's why it's okay. Mm-hmm. You got to be those are two separate worlds.
Yeah. Learning to acknowledge that, and then just once you acknowledge that is the case, you got to just get after it. And
that's really easy for us to say because we're young white men with relative financial ease living in the United States of America. I mean, it's easy for us to make those kinds of claims because we have the opportunity and we have the yeah, I'm going to say the word that everyone gets pissed when I say, privilege. I'm not going to be full, Tumblrite on you here, but you and I are very privileged men. Yeah. And it's our responsibility to use that privilege to help people get to where we and a lot of other people are at, as opposed to creating a hegemony.
Right.
And
so the motivation with that too. So like we'll approach that from a perspective of fitness. A lot of people feel that, or I won't say a lot of people. I won't generalize like that.
It's always so tempting to want to generalize. Whenever I get too generalized, I remind myself, okay, for all I'm saying, when I say a lot of people, this other person could be picturing literally anybody, like their Uncle Steve, and suddenly my story has no credibility.
Right.
Like, hey, my Uncle Steve said that you should try mescaline, dude. Like, dude, shut up, Steve. Go take your meds.
Right.
Like,
but it's easy for anybody, and this is an anybody thing. Motivation is the key to most things in life. But you have to
remember that motivation is... like, it's not guaranteed.
No.
But it's not going to be there all the time.
There is nobody that will determine your motivation and your desire and your worth ethic but you. You are entirely responsible for how you go about deciding what it is you're going to do. And it's easy for me, we'll put it from my perspective. With all the events that have unfolded in the past couple of weeks, I could have just laid over and not done anything. I could just lay there.
You could just curl up into a ball.
Yeah, you could drink yourself into a stupor. You can
smoke till you can't think.
Yeah, and that's the nature of, because people have a tendency to want to seek what's easy, because it's hard to motivate.
It's fucking hard being alive, dude.
Yes.
We are in incredibly easy relative life positions, and yet even our shit gets tempting and difficult sometimes. Imagine what like true sorrow is like.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know shit.
No. And this was a relative glimpse for me as to what some people experience
daily
on a daily basis,
every minute of every day.
And I understand how hard that is. I get it. Like,
or if you can't fully comprehend in the way they can,
no,
you can at least sympathize.
Yes.
You can imagine how they feel and try to relate to them. And sympathy is really fucking important. Like,
yeah, learning to understand how other people feel, and because empathy is not always what you can truly feel. I mean, you can't have empathy unless you've really, really experienced that exact feeling, and who's to say that anybody that's ever felt that way has ever experienced the exact same feeling as somebody else? You have
the odds are decent, but you never know.
No, and that's okay, but you just need to approach it from a perspective of, I get where this is coming from, I see it, I recognize it, and that was what I had to do. Was all I wanted to do was to lay down, and you just want to sleep, you just want to not do anything, you want to be lazy, you want to be lethargic, and that was so easy to do. But I looked at myself and I said, well, why? What good does that do me? It doesn't do me anything to just sit here and to be upset. And so I took it, and now I'm channeling it back to get back into the gym, to go to a yoga class, to get outside more, to pursue more hobbies and interests, because I refuse to let myself be limited by my emotional,
by your circumstance.
Yeah. And I understand for some people that's 1,000 times harder than what I'm saying.
Because they have a lot of external factors preventing them from moving in that direction.
Take a look at what you can do.
Start small, man.
Yeah, seriously. Like, if you have not a single piece of gym equipment, if you don't have, you don't need.
Actually, you do have the ultimate piece of gym.
It's your
equipment.
body. Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't need a gym to work out. You don't. People. There's an excuse that.
Well, that's the problem, is that working out now means bodybuilding, because bodybuilding is so much the culture. You got to get yoked. Yeah.
I got to go. You gotta go take a class, or you gotta. Well, no.
Or maybe I just want to go for a jog and do some goddamn push-ups, so I don't have to feel guilty about that McDouble later. What
did people do for thousands of years? They didn't have gyms. The only form of fitness that they
did also die before 29. So
we don't talk about that. I mean, they also were killed by like swords and shit. So that's a.
Oh my god.
The rate at which you will get your head chopped off by like a claymore has gone down probably like 99.9%. So
I am willing to believe those numbers.
But yeah, it starts small, and there's a really good motivational video that it circulated on Facebook a while ago and YouTube.
I'll be honest, I've always found those very hokey.
I know they are, but this one like kind of makes me cry because like
Is it because of the emotionally manipulative music?
Well, that's part of it, but it's just God, I can't even remember what the fucking video is called. I'll have to look this up. But it's about a man named Arthur who was a para jumper in the Gulf War. And so his body is so physically destroyed that he is on double, like kind of the MS style walking canes. Yeah. He's got a back brace.
Yeah.
He can't even put his own clothes on. He's morbidly obese. And nobody is there to help him. And at the end of the day, he sits down and it's a yoga instructor that helps him, and he starts doing yoga, and the video is pretty, I mean, it's very much a promotion for this guy's yoga stuff.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's scripted.
But if you look at this guy, I mean, it's insane to watch him go from...
Are you sure it's not actors?
No.
Or some kind of computer editing?
No. There is no way.
I haven't seen the video, so I'm kind of having to take your word for it.
We'll pull it. After this, I'll show it to you. It's actually really incredible.
Okay.
And he starts to do the yoga classes, and the guy kind of helps him to find. He does it all in his own house, but he uses like furniture for support, and eventually he starts to get through it. And I mean, he's got the mindset of just because I can't do it today doesn't mean I can't do it someday. And like,
I like that.
That's a valuable, I think, lesson. And he ends up going from being this morbidly obese guy that can't walk. He loses the canes. He loses the weight. He can actually, and by the end of the video, he's running, and like, he's so,
See,
like
the cynic in me gets so goddamn mad at stories like that because it just makes me realize that I don't know shit and crazy stuff does happen on a day-to-day basis.
And it just took him the motivation to change to put him in a different
And again, he was also in a circumstance where he had the opportunity to seize on that potential for change.
But then if anybody had an excuse to give up, it was that fucking guy. Like that dude was in a back brace, was in knee braces, was on canes, couldn't put his own clothes on.
He was probably broke too. You have any fucking idea how expensive all that medical care is in this country?
Yeah. His wife was taking care of him, and then he realized that I need someone to help me, and someone took a chance on him. And
that's something that I want to break away for a quick second.
Let's do it.
Don't you ever let someone shame you away from asking for help. Don't you ever. Please don't be stupid like I was for my entire life and try to be prideful. Keep your pride. Your pride's important. But know when to sacrifice it so that you don't find yourself in a situation you may not be able to escape from. Be willing to need help. Yes. Be willing to be wrong from time to time so that you can be right again.
Doesn't make you crazy to ask for help, and that's the stigma that a lot of people get is if I ask for help or if I do this, people are going to think I'm crazy and they're going to think differently.
And there are going to be people who still think that no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And you can't change their fucking mind.
No. And
don't hate them, don't try to destroy them, but just understand that you need to let them be because they don't have anything to provide for you. They don't have anything to offer you beyond increase to your pain.
Yeah. And yeah, that is hugely important. It's because it's so easy to just not reach out and ask and to just eat it up and to just let it all harbor inside of you, and that is so toxic for people. You need to talk to people. You need to communicate. It might not even be somebody you know.
And you need to be careful about who you talk to so that you don't, talk to people who are willing to listen is my one caution to you because, you also don't want to destroy other people with your problems.
Right.
But the thing is, if you're talking to someone and they're listening to you, it's because they want to hear you and they want to hear your problem and they want to help. So find those people, and make sure that you're not being taken for a ride.
No.
By someone who just wants to manipulate you.
Right. And if you see somebody that's struggling, maybe it'd behoove you to just reach out and say, hey, how's everything going? You don't have to approach them about a
Yeah,
problem
and they
right
may tell
away.
you to fuck off.
And that's
if,
fine.
And if they do, let them. That
made-
means that they need that time right now.
You made the effort, and that's important. But maybe they're too afraid to ask for help, and by you reaching out, that's all they need to be like, yeah, well, man, I'm not doing so hot. Like,
Dude, I can't tell you. Like, one of my closest friends in the entire world, this guy Jesse. Jesse, I fucking love you, man, if you're listening to this. I remember when I was in high school, man, I was having a lot of onset of my depression symptoms. And I remember I was having a lot of trouble relating to anybody. And I remember this kid who was a couple years older than me, Jesse, he just messaged me out of nowhere. And he just sent me this message laced with these Dragon Ball Z quotes because he asked around about me a little bit and found out I was a nerd. And he messaged me and he was just like, hey man, I see you. I see what's on your face, and I know that face because I have worn that face. And he's like, maybe we should talk. And if I hadn't listened to him, I wouldn't have one of the best friends I've ever had, and I wouldn't have gotten help for the things that almost broke my brain in half. Then again, if you want to talk about the what ifs, he could have been a fucking axe murderer. You never know.
True.
That's until you accept that request, it's a Schrodinger's question. The answer both is and isn't what you want. You have to observe it and find out which it is.
And sometimes when you reach out and talk to people, it may not always be what it is you want to hear. And that's sometimes
But it may be
hard.
what you need to hear.
Yes.
And that's a hard fucking thing.
Yeah. And understand that not all people are going to get exactly where you come from or feel exactly how you feel, and that's okay. And every person you talk to is going to talk to you in a different way. Find the people that are going to benefit you the most about how you can go about helping your problems, and then just go from there.
And don't discount simple knowledge. No. We're saying the same stuff that you've heard in a lot of other places, the same types of messages. That's because maybe they're just good enough that a lot of people want to listen to them.
Right.
These ideas of kindness and acceptance and openness, to most people, they sound trivial. They sound trite because they get it. They understand that, yeah, that's just what you do. It's fucking basic. But to a lot of people, those simple concepts are fucking astounding. Yeah. Smart fucking people, geniuses, MIT geniuses, who would never consider some of the most basic ideas of empathy because it wouldn't fucking compute to them to ask until they were asked. And they may reject that information or they may not. Everyone. You can't just assume the answer before you have it. I mean, I get into that trap because I assume the answer a lot, and I'm usually fucking right, and it goes to my head. But you can't be a mind reader all the time.
No.
You're not a fortune teller.
No. And the other thing, too, kind of segueing off a little bit here, but if you're having an emotional problem or you're feeling distant or whatnot, recognize that that's maybe how you're feeling. And like we said, talk to people. And if you've had problems in your life with certain people or whatever, and you need to move on from those toxic feelings or relationships, understand that when you move into new circumstances, those things don't apply anymore. And that's hard for someone like when you've had such bad experiences, it becomes so easy to be cynical about every situation you're going to approach.
And I hate to break it to you edgelords out there, but seeing through everything is just another way of not seeing anything at all.
Exactly. And when you get down to it, every experience is new, every person is different. You can't treat everything the same.
Yeah, it's equity, not equality.
Yeah. Because if you walk into every situation going, man, this person's going to fuck me over, or why would I talk to this person? They don't know. The other people didn't give a shit.
Look at this guy's fucking jacket. I'll bet he likes that terrible shit I don't like. You
don't assume that shit. Oh, my last relationship fucking sucks, so why would anybody ever give a shit about me? Like, fuck that. It's so easy to get lost.
You're bullying yourself, man.
Yeah.
Why would you bully yourself? Stop and listen for a moment to that voice in your head, the one that narrates everything you do that you think is you talking. That if you talked to anybody the way that voice talks to you, you'd be in fucking prison.
Yeah.
Or a mental asylum.
Yeah.
Constant chattering all the time. Just this constant neurotic roommate living in your fucking head that you can't do anything about. Except you can. Get some help. Talk to people. And if you can't talk to anybody, talk to your goddamn self. You're the best friend you'll ever have because you got to take you to the grave and no one else.
Yeah. You have to live with you every day. And that voice in your head is something that you just, your inner
it's not
emotions.
You. It's you playing the role of you inside your own head.
And it's never a good part either, usually.
No, it's never a fun time.
You're just like,
when you
who's
go,
this fucking asshole?
like, God, could you imagine if you and I lived together and I was the voice inside your head and I talked to you the way that you talk to yourself?
You fucking
when you're just
punch that person in the face.
dude, you kill them. Like, are you serious?
You're like, what the fuck
You'd be
is
like,
that
how
mean?
did you get this damaged? How does someone do this? And then you don't apply that to people outside you because you assume, oh, this is just inside my head. This is just how I am. No. It's because no one ever taught you a class in thinking and emotional awareness. It's a skill like anything else.
You gotta learn. You gotta learn.
And just like any skill, the individual idiosyncrasies of your application of it will be entirely yours. That's why you learn the basics first. When no one ever teaches you the basics, they say, oh, here's this math problem. We'll see what you learn about thinking from that, which is good in theory, applied learning. But what if you did applied learning exercises with philosophy or thinking instead first, and then move into the academics and how to apply that thinking? Like, that'd be like me giving you, like, you've never seen a hammer and nails and wood before. Infantile thought, I know, but it exists. And I just told you, hey, here's this hammer and nails. Go hammer that to that window. I'm using language you don't know. I'm pointing at tools you don't know, symbols you don't understand. Even though it's such a simple, trivial thing, you, with your frame of reference, wouldn't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
No.
And thinking is the same way. When I say clear your mind, what does that mean to you? Empty head, right? Not thinking, no thoughts. Bullshit, dead fucking wrong. Remember the headspace episode? It's about letting the thoughts go by and not judging them and realizing that they aren't a voice in your head. They are a part of you. It's all you. It's one thing.
Acknowledge it, see it, observe it, and just do what you got to do with it, but do not let it consume you.
And if you fail, you're probably not going to die, and you can probably try again. And if you can't, then you'll do something new because the human spirit is really, really stubborn. Yeah. So
there's another fun thing you can do too if you're struggling. Try something fucking new. Do something new with your life.
And you're going to be saying, oh, well, I can't try anything new. I have no money. Understand. I've been there, man. You want to take that new boxing class. You want to go to the gym. You want to get a new coat so that you can, like, be warm at home in your, like.
Or it's even as simple as just change something up that you normally, routines are good, but routines also build familiarity and they build patterns, and sometimes you need to break away from familiarity when you're
because
struggling.
Because the pattern is when it starts to stop becoming familiarity and day-to-day comforting ritual, and it becomes daily minutia and trivia. And when it becomes that, move on.
Yeah. Do you ever take a different drive to work? Like, just take a different.
I love doing that.
Take a different
or
road.
you take the same drive on a different day and different weather, and everything looks different. The color of the trees, the shape of the road, based on how many cars are passing you, and like the visual plane that creates.
Go for a fucking
your
walk.
Your perception is more easily manipulatable. That's not a word. More easy to manipulate than you think. So use that to your advantage instead of letting other people or your own head use it against you.
Yeah.
If it's all manipulation, if it's all chemical, fuck it. Take advantage of that. Use that shit in your favor because it might save your life.
Yeah. And you never know what good things will come of the new experiences that you decide to go out and do. You may fall in love with something that you've never known that you were in love with just because
that's what happens when you don't follow your passion but drag it by the hair along with you.
Yeah. You have to not be afraid of new opportunities. When new opportunities present themselves, you need to acknowledge them, look at it and go, is this something that I want to do? I'm going to take a chance and I'm going to do it. Whether that be, hey, maybe I'm going to try a different, maybe you're looking for a job and you've kind of narrowed in your scope to what it is you think you want to do. Like that was what I did for a long time. I had such a narrow-minded focus about where my career was going to go that I was like, fuck doing anything else. Like, I told myself, I'm not going to work at like a fucking fast food place. I'm never going to work. Like, I hated retail. Why would I ever work like around food? That's gross. And I ended up working at a coffee shop. And do you know what's funny? That's probably the best job I've ever had. Like, That
Really?
yes.
I've talked to a lot of baristas who fucking hate that job.
there are definitely some days, but I mean that's the more you know. When you're in it, it's hard to see because you put the blinders on because you're living it day to day, and so
The blinders are fucking real.
it's so easy to get lost in those negative thoughts. But when I take a step back and I think about how that job made me feel and what I did in that job. So yes, I was a barista. I made coffee. I enjoyed that job. I liked it because the people I worked with were incredible and amazing people, and I'm still in contact with a lot of those people today because of how amazing that family I had was. And
It's so sad to me when these big chains and big corporations put "come join our family," competitive workplace, all that shit on there.
Fuck that.
And it's such a lie because it sucks because it degrades the businesses and the workplaces that genuinely are a family, like these people who like fucking die for each other, not just their paycheck. It's so rare, but it does exist, and fuck me if it ain't worth looking for.
Right. And every day it was relatively the same thing. You came into work, you made people's coffees, you dealt with really great people, and you dealt with really shit people. It's very repetitive work. It's just making the same things over
And that's where
over. But
And that's where your agency comes in and how you can make a change. Even just the slightest way. Maybe you pour a coffee slightly differently. Maybe instead of saying, "Here's your change," you say, "Thank you, have a nice day."
yeah,
You know?
and that was what it became.
And if those trivial of changes don't mean anything to you, it doesn't mean that our advice is wrong. It means that your needs are different. You need more. You need more interaction. You need a bigger change. So do that for you.
and
And if you don't trust us, we're just a couple of white guys with microphones.
Truth.
If you don't trust us and you think we're being hokey, then don't fucking listen to us. Go talk to a doctor. Go talk to a life coach. There's lots of free resources for those through universities or local co-ops where people are training for these positions and they need the practice. So they'll give you a session at like grad school or med school for dirt fucking cheap. There's resources out there for you to find. You just got to be willing to look for them and be grateful. You know? And that gratitude, man, I think gratitude is maybe a good note for us to head towards a wrap up on, because that one I think is the biggest. Like, gratitude is so hard because sometimes you just want to be spiteful. You want to say, "Oh, yeah, my girlfriend cheated on me," like, or "my dog died," or all this shit. And you're like, "Oh, I'm supposed to be grateful for that?"
Yeah.
And it's like, no, not in the fucking slightest. You're supposed to be grateful for the things that you still have so that
Yes.
you can survive that wave and
Yes.
keep swimming. That's what gratitude is. It's not being thankful for the terrible things that happen to you. It's being thankful that you're still alive despite it and that you can recover.
And
And being grateful for the little moments because you don't know how long they're going to last.
that is so important because it's people, myself included, when those terrible circumstances happen to you, you have the tendency to latch onto the negative aspect and go, "Look at what I've lost."
It's like looking at the most beautiful face you've ever seen and suddenly there's acne all over it. A sensible person wouldn't care. Still a gorgeous face. But instead of seeing it as just a blemish on a perfect thing, you see it as poison inside a healthy body that invalidates the rest of what it's around, you know?
Right. And
As if that small negative thing could undo all of what came before.
that was where I was at during this whole ordeal that I've been going with. I was surrounded by the things that I thought I had lost. And I mean, you do lose things. I mean, shit happens.
Dude,
Life
is constant
it's
loss.
It's a give and take. But what I needed to do was I took a step back and realized, yes, I lost something what I thought was near and dear to me, and it was near and dear to me. But I reminded myself of where I was. I sat down and went, okay, I'm still in my apartment. It's not the same apartment, but I have a roof over my head. I have a bed I get to sleep in. I'm not outside. I'm not in the cold. And for some people, that's not the case. But you have to look at
an unfortunate large majority of people.
And you have to look at it from the perspective of, this is what I have, and this is what I have to gain. I have a lot of life left to live.
And you don't have to grovel for it.
No.
Being thankful doesn't mean begging. It just means thanks. And then you keep going. Like
and whatever form that takes for you to acknowledge what it is you need to do or what you have. Like for some people, it's sitting down and having an introspective conversation with themselves. For some people, it's, oh, maybe I need to meditate. Some people prefer like prayer. I mean, if that's your idea of sustaining faith in what you've got.
Look, man, I'm a hardcore atheist, and I'm still not going to tell people not to pray.
No.
Are you fucking kidding?
No.
Rituals are important.
And it's an immensely important thing for people to do, because just the idea of like, even when you think about what prayer is, it's just asking for help from something greater and acknowledging the fact that I'm not alone in this and I need someone else. I need guidance. I need to look at something differently. It might not even be a need. It might be I want. Maybe I want someone to show me something. And it's, if you're putting that out into the universe, generally speaking, that the universe in one way or another will find its way and you will figure it out.
And we don't mean that in like a hokey sense. We mean that in the simple sense of cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
There is always, for everything that happens, there's always a cause. That doesn't mean that everything happens for a reason per se in terms of like a grand purpose, but everything happens because something else happened. And so, when these things happen to you, it's either because you set something in motion or someone else around you set something in motion towards you.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that distinction can be really helpful because you know where to start when you're putting back the pieces.
Yep.
Whether to start with you or how you deal with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's both. It probably is. It's fucking difficult to do either of those things.
Don't tread across broken glass. Acknowledge that it's there and pick it up.
Yeah.
It's going to take time. You have to pick it up piece.
And you may cut your hands a little bit, but it's a hell of a lot better than having a big old chunk of glass embedded in your foot, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And don't get lost. Don't feel overwhelmed. I know that's so easy for me to say.
It's so easy for us to say, but it's easier for us to say too because we fucking been there.
Yes.
And like, we had the advantage of being in those same pits that all people find themselves in. But we had the people and resources around us to get ourselves out.
Mm-hmm.
And we are not trying to be above anybody. We just want to push people in that direction because it may help you. It may encourage you to go beyond the wisdom of a single-hour podcast from untrained laymen, and it may take you to someone or something, whether it's you or another person that may have, I don't know, not answers, but ideas that might be of use to you.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I do this knowingly. If you're somebody that is struggling with a problem,
especially if it's something that you feel like you can't control, like a mental illness.
Yeah. Go get help to the best of your ability. If you need help, I'm somebody that I don't know you. I don't know you from anything.
And we may not know how to help you, but we can point you to the right resources.
I will make the time of day for you. Always. If you reach out to me, or I think this goes for you, Kyle, if somebody reached out to like our page or to me personally, if you know either of us personally and you ever need something, talk to me.
That's kind of why I hope this thing doesn't get too big, man. I want it to stay smaller and intimate so that we can communicate with people on those things.
I'll still, no matter how big it gets, I will try to make time for everybody that I can.
Yeah.
Because
and that's all that you can do
is
everyone
most
you
important
can.
thing. Yep. I will do the best I can for you. And if I don't know what to do, I will acknowledge that's the important thing too. If you can't help somebody, acknowledge that you can't help. Don't force the help that you can't provide. No, because
then you're just making it about you.
And you can make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And provide them with the right means and methods so that they can go out and get the help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, if you need it, I'm here for you. And I think that's an important thing for people to hear. You are valued. You are an amazing person. And at the end of the day, people care about you. Whether you think that or not, you have meaning and your life is important. And
even if it's important to nobody but yourself and the people immediately around you,
you're important.
Isn't that enough?
Yes.
I mean, you're alive.
Mm-hmm. You are living a miracle every day. Because
do you have any idea, even if you don't believe in a God, do you have any idea how much ridiculous random chance had to happen for you to even be there?
To exist, for any of this to exist?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy stuff. So I think that'll be a good I
think that's a good note to end on, man.
Yeah. Do you want to do our little usual segment talking about stuff before we?
I think that'd be a good place for us to readjust back into the normal flow of the show, and then next week we'll be back with a dedicated topic and a little bit more
shit next week.
A little bit more lighthearted banter.
Yes, we're gonna get so spoopy. So, as per usual, we do a segment at the end of our shows where we talk about things that we have, we've read, we've seen, and we've heard this week. And there's been some awesome things going on. So, Kyle, do you want to start or you want me to start?
Why don't you go ahead first?
Okay. So, in terms of what I've watched this week that I thought that stuck with me, we had a discussion about this earlier. I went and saw the Venom movie. Very, very fun, kind of actiony, cool, but fun time at the movies. I'm also a big Marvel and comic nerd, so I very much appreciated that movie. Tom Hardy kills it. So if you have some chance to go out and go see it, and you like action movies, or you like a little bit of suspense, or you like whatever, it's not quite a horror movie, but no good horror movies have come out so far yet this month. Really, it's kind of dry for horror movies, which bums me out. So I'll work on that on my own. So go check that out. Still in theaters. Let's see what I've heard this week. I started a there's a horror themed podcast that I was listening to this month because it's October, so it's all Halloween this whole month. Podcast is called Lore. That's Lore. They have, I think, like 96 episodes out, and they're only like 20, 30 minutes a piece. They're really, really easy to digest. Like, they talk about stories of real places. They talk about different kind of monsters and the mythology of monsters and where those things come from. Very interesting show. The narrator does an awesome job. Music is creepy. They're cool little episodes. So Lore, I would go check that podcast out if you need something to listen to. I also listened to, I do Audible now. So I've been listening to audiobooks in the car, and with one of the books I bought this month because it just blew me away so much. I think I might have mentioned this before, but they redid Pet Sematary, which got a new trailer, by the way, for the new remake of that movie coming out. Looks awesome. But Pet Sematary, narrated by Michael C. Hall. Yeah, so if anybody doesn't know who Michael C. Hall is the gentleman that did Dexter on Showtime.
Oh, I'll bet that is
chilling. So it's so good.
Dude, his voice narrating that kind of spooky
I just
shit.
want him to narrate my life.
Oh, I'd be cool with it.
I love Michael C. Hall.
Dude, who doesn't?
And then, what are we down to? Reading? Oh, let's see. Reading has been kind of sparse this week. I started American Gods by Neil Gaiman.
It's weird as fuck.
It is
and
so fucking weird.
You are going to have no idea what the goddamn hell happened by the end of it.
Yeah.
And you're still going to be wondering if you liked it or not.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of everything so far in this book, I feel like. It's got a little bit of action going on. It's got a lot of suspense. Got a lot of world building.
A lot of pseudo-mythical pretension.
Yeah, a lot of banging. There's a lot of sexual.
Dude, there's a lot of banging in that book.
A lot of sex in this book. And I'm just, that's all. What's funny, because when I read those kind of scenes in a book, all I imagine is the author sitting in like a hotel room having to write a sex scene on his MacBook, and he's just sitting there. He's like, yeah, he's trying to describe a vagina. Like,
now I'm thinking of George R.R. Martin doing that, and I just got a little sick.
He's just like heavy breathing as he's talking.
Stop it!
There's your horror for this week. So yeah, Kyle, go ahead. What are you thinking?
Oh my god!
After I just destroyed your world a little.
Let's see. Well, I'll out myself a little bit here. I've been watching a new anime series that is fucking ridiculous. Normally, I don't like a lot of the mainstream anime because I think they're too over-sexualized, and I think they're not quite in line with what I like out of a show. Mm-hmm. But there's this series that just came out called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. And it's about this, it's a parody of a lot of anime tropes and a lot of fantasy tropes. It's a total joke show. It's a piss take. That's why I like it. And it's a parody of those types of shows where the main character is like some average everyday schlub, yada, 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 gets whisked off to a fantasy world, becomes a hero. Mm-hmm. And instead of that, he gets whisked off to a fantasy world and gets reincarnated as a slime. Like the literal worst monster in any fantasy RPG ever. He's just this total weakling scrub. And it's a play on like all these types of total trashy power fantasy shows. And I don't know. I just thought it was hilarious, dude. It's really funny. It's only 2 episodes in, so it could turn into unintelligible mess for all I know. I may really regret giving that recommendation, but the thing is, no one's going to watch that recommendation unless they like anime because it's a parody show. So if you don't even like anime and the things it's parodying, you wouldn't have a good time anyway.
But hey, it goes back to trying new things. Maybe you should just give it a watch.
Just take it with a grain of salt, you know?
Yeah.
And then a thing I've been reading this week.
I've been doing a lot of reading.
I'm trying to think about what I've been reading lately.
Other than Reddit forums.
Hey, fuck you.
Dude, I'm so guilty of it too. It's not even funny.
I've actually been... Yeah, I just haven't been doing any reading lately, man. I have 2 projects I want to get back on. I want to get back on Sharp Objects.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back on The Dark Tower. And I want to... What was the other one that I was really... The Stand! I've never read The Stand.
You never read The Stand?
And I found my old copy of it, and I really want to get into that.
Dude, The Stand is arguably one of Stephen King's best books.
I will have to check that out. And then what I've been listening to, I went back to an old favorite of mine. It's the album Homey, Homey,
Okay.
by Chon, Chon. They're an instrumental band, and check them out.
What was the album?
They're this, it's all instrumental, all kind of really psychedelic rock and like chill vibes, like really interesting creative production. I just think that it would be worth your time to check it out. It's all on Spotify, and Homey is a great place to start.
So, Homey is the album, Chon
is the artist.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, circling back, to summarize everything, because I know everybody probably didn't write all that down when we were going through it.
We wouldn't expect you to.
Go check out Venom, now in theaters, starring Tom Hardy. It's pretty awesome. Not a plug. I just really enjoyed the movie, and I'm a huge Venom fan. Go check out the Lore podcast. Awesome. Tons of episodes on there. I think it's available on Apple Podcasts. I think it's on YouTube. I've been listening to it on SoundCloud. So it's on SoundCloud for sure.
Bro, check out my SoundCloud. Check my SoundCloud, bro.
Bro, just go ahead and pitch my Patreon. And then if you want a weird kind of fun novel, if you're looking for something spooky to read, Pet Sematary is an awesome, awesome book because they're remaking it into a movie, so you can get on the hype train before the movie comes out. Or go check out some American Gods. It's a show now on, I think, Stars or
Sci-Fi.
American Gods got put on like a premium network. It got put on like Showtime or Stars.
Oh.
I can't remember which one.
Okay.
Because they got a show that's sex. So
yeah, fair.
Yeah, it's fun. So go check it out. It's a slow burn. If you don't like Neil Gaiman, you'll know right away if you don't like Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, and that's the fucking truth.
Yeah. He does good work. I like him, so it's easy for me. And then Kyle, summarize your stuff.
So again, emphasis, if you like anime and like to laugh at anime, then check out That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Otherwise, not for you. As far as reading goes, again, I am trying to get back onto things, so maybe I'll get back on The Stand by Stephen King. Maybe if you want to get back on it as well and hit up the page, maybe we can talk about some of the plot points. And then listening, go check out Homey by Chon. It's a oldie but a goodie.
Cool. Well, it's been awesome being back with you guys. We're so excited to finally.
Thanks for letting us get a little preachy. Woo! We apologize.
Yeah, but it's all right. And we're sorry we were gone for so long. We missed you too. We love you. Mm-hmm. You're great. Go check us out on the Instagram page at the Decompression Session for
check those plugs,
updates.
Baby.
Yeah, that's all we got to do. YouTube channel. You can find all the episodes there. Good place to share stuff if you want to share it. Also available on Spotify. Having some issues with some SoundCloud. this episode should be on SoundCloud. Also available on Google Play. So really, Apple Podcasts too. Fucking can't forget Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, there we go.
It's been great. We look forward to next week. Gonna get into some more spooky shit.
Yes, we have spooky shit.
So we look forward to seeing you. And until then, I have been Nick.
And I've been Kyle.
And we will see you guys next time.
Peace. Peace.